People that haven't been through the litigation process or aren't aware of how personal injury works, you gotta understand, the insurance companies have in-house experts. These are experts, they might be employees, they might not be, but these are people who use their impressive degrees. They might be doctors, they might be biomechanics, they might be reconstructionists, but they're always gonna be experts that are gonna use impressive degrees in a very deceptive way. And it's all designed to avoid paying you on your claim because the insurance company is going to try to save money, right? That's how it works. They're always going to find an expert no matter how frivolous the defense is, right? We've all heard of like a frivolous lawsuit, but how often have we ever contemplated, is there such a thing as a frivolous defense? Well, let me tell you, as someone in the trenches who litigates these kind of cases, regularly tries these kind of cases, I see frivolous defenses all the time. Let me give you an example. I had a case once, my client was a trucker, and he's driving on a road where his lane doesn't have to merge, he can just go straight. There's a lane to his right, and that's the merge lane, it has to merge to the left. When the light turns green, my client takes off from the green light, so does a trucker next to him. So they're driving, basically neck and neck. Well, the trucker to his right, he needs to merge behind my client because up ahead there's a house. So there's an actual neighbor in a house. And if that trucker to the right tries to accelerate too hard and he doesn't make it, he's gonna literally drive right through a neighborhood, right through a house. Well, but that trucker, turns out, he's a young guy, he's got his buddy in the car. They decide they're gonna film it, and they decide that they're actually gonna try to beat my client's truck in their own 18-wheeler, accelerate around it, and merge in front of him before they get to the house, kind of like a game of chicken. Only problem is, my client, an experienced professional trucker, he doesn't know what these yahoos next to him are trying to do. This guy to the right, accelerates, and he's got his buddy filming it, and he's just like cranking the gears, because these 18-wheelers, they have more than 5 or 6 gears, like even a manual car. So he's cranking through the gears, and as he gets to the very end, he's about to go through the house, he realizes, oh, there's no more space. So he rapidly merges to the left, but there's not enough clearance. So the back of that trucker's trailer ends up striking the very front of my client's truck, which is his axle, his front axle. Well, if you know anything about trucks, if someone strikes a trucker's axle at speed, there's no way that he can hold on. That truck's gonna lose control. So my client's truck at about 40, 45 miles an hour strikes a big curb. It gets propelled up off the curb, so there's a major bounce. And those trucker seats, they have like one of those bouncy seats. So his body actually gets bounced down and up, and he strikes his head all the way up on the cab of the truck. Then there's a whole row of trees, and his truck gets just smashed right through the entire row before it collapses on the other end. Fortunately, nobody was killed, all because of the reckless driving of this other trucker. Well, my client goes on, he has a neck surgery, serious injury. We get to litigation. And this insurance company, they have these experts who come in and they say, doctors, biomechanics, and they come up with these studies, right? Because that's what they do. And they say, according to our studies, there's no mechanism of injury that would have led to a neck surgery from a side swipe. And that's their defense. And I'm thinking, what do you mean side swipe? And they say, well, that's what it was. One truck side swiped another. There's no mechanism of injury. Oh, really? Well, what about the truck going through a row of trees, just mowing down trees? What about hitting the curb and bouncing so hard that the man's head gets propelled into the ceiling? Actually striking a solid piece of metal. And they say, well, yeah, but in our, we view this as a side swipe. There's no mechanism of injury. So if you think about it, that's about as deceptive as if somebody pushed somebody else off of a cliff, and they said, well, based on the force I pushed you with, the most it could have done is sprain a shoulder. It shouldn't have killed you, right? Let's just disregard that they pushed someone else off a cliff, right? It's that kind of logic. It takes a really good trial lawyer to actually sit down with these defense experts who are so deceptive and go through their testimony, understand what are they really saying, what are the studies they're relying on, and how can we show the jury basically just how fake this expert is? How these experts just work full-time for the insurance company and they'll deny any claim no matter how valid. Well, let me tell you, we did just that in that case. We went from I believe it was a $70,000 offer. We resolved the case for $1 million. That was the difference in pointing out and picking apart deceptive defense experts versus taking the defense's top offer, which is only $70,000.